Good evening, pilots and mercs. Today we're going to be going over the lore of ENDO Steel and Mechwarrior. This video is by Ray Salvage, and I'm very interested to see how this goes because I use it quite a bit in a lot of my builds. It helps save a little bit of weight, but I'm interested to see how it necessarily works, or some of the history behind it at least. So grab your snacks, grab your drinks, and let's get right into the film. The lore of ENDO Steel and Mechwarrior.
In the high-tech universe of Battletech and Mechwarrior, few components are as vital, yet as complex, as the internal skeleton of a battle mech. While armor and weapons often get the most attention, the framework that holds these massive machines together is what defines their limits. ENDO Steel is a specialized type of internal structure designed to solve the constant problem of weight. In the lore of this universe, every ton matters because it represents space that could be used for more ammunition.
So here's the thing. I actually appreciate the artwork when it comes to videos. But if I'm giving feedback on the video, please do what you feel is necessary in order to convey the overall message of the video itself. But if you're just starting out with videos, gameplay is just fine. Just to try to convey what you need to, and then you can work on building the video up later on.
Bigger engines, or thicker armor. By replacing a standard steel skeleton with ENDO Steel, a designer can cut the weight of the chassis in half. This provides a massive tactical advantage, allowing a light mech to move faster or a heavy mech to carry a devastating amount of firepower that would otherwise be impossible. The history of ENDO Steel begins with the Terran hegemony, the most technologically advanced nation of the early human space empire known as the Star League.
Yep, I was about to say, yep, that would definitely be the Star League era. Golden age of technology. I just kind of give it a little bit of a racket because yes, you might have had a golden age, and it's something that even the clans can't reproduce, and I do acknowledge that. But at the same time, even with all that, you still have a lot of wars going on in the background. It's like you can't keep us from fighting. Or yes, more of the houses at any rate.
Scientists first developed a prototype version of this material in the year 2471. It took another 16 years of testing and refinement before a production-ready version was finalized in 2487. The secret to its incredible strength and light weight lies in how it is manufactured. ENDO Steel cannot be made on the surface of a planet because gravity interferes with the bonding process of the metals. Instead, it must be manufactured in zero-gravity orbital factories. In the weightlessness of space, high-density steel can be perfectly mixed with low-density titanium and aluminum. This process also involves the use of a rare metal called rhenium. The result is a metallic foam-like structure that is twice as strong as standard materials while weighing significantly less. Despite its
And this is unfortunately where that's going to end up costing quite a bit more than your standard structure. Because if you have to do that in orbital factories, not only are they going to charge you for the extra need to put it in space, they're going to capitalize off of that. Usually they do anyways. We'll see how that goes.
Benefits. ENDO Steel has a major drawback that affects how mechs are built. Because the material is less dense than standard steel, it is much bulkier. In the technical terms used by pilots and mechanics, it takes up critical slots inside the machine. A standard internal structure is compact and fits neatly inside the mech's frame, leaving plenty of room for other components. ENDO Steel, however, is physically larger, meaning it occupies space in the torso and limbs that could have been used for heat sinks or weapons. For inner sphere designs, this usually requires 14 slots of space. This trade-off between weight and bulk is one of the most important decisions a combat engineer has to make. A mech might have tons of free weight available for guns, but if the endosteel skeleton takes up too much room, there might not be enough space left to actually install them. The story of endosteel is also a story of lost knowledge of the tech-based divide between the Inner Sphere and the clans. During the height of the Star League, endosteel was common among elite units. However, when the Star League collapsed and the succession wars began, the orbital factories required to produce the material became primary targets. Because these factories were located in space and were very fragile, they were easily destroyed by raiding fleets. By the time of the Second Succession War, the ability to manufacture endosteel had been completely lost to the great houses of the Inner Sphere. For centuries, the technology became lost tech, a relic of a golden age that could no longer be replicated. Only the mysterious organization known as Comstar kept a small supply of these advanced skeletons hidden away in their secret caches. While the Inner Sphere was sliding into a dark age of technological decline, the clan's descendants of the Star League army, who fled into deep space, continued to improve upon the design. The clans never lost the ability to manufacture endosteel and eventually refined the process to make it even more efficient. Clan endosteel is superior to the version used by the Inner Sphere because it only requires 7 critical slots instead of 14. This efficiency is one of the many reasons why clan Omnimechs are so much more powerful than their Inner Sphere counterparts. They gain the same massive weight savings, but suffer only half the penalty in terms of internal space, allowing them to carry an incredible array of advanced weaponry and equipment.
And again, I love how this is explained, because that actually gives a little bit more reason as to why the clan mechs are just, they're overpowered to some extent. But unfortunately, from the game's perspective, you don't really see all of this necessarily. Like, necessarily, you don't always see that difference in clan versus Inner Sphere technology, because at the end of the day, it basically evens out to some extent. Because as soon as you come across clan technology, usually take it from them, use it against them, and then that divide really just isn't there as much. Now, this would happen somewhat the same pace as we were able to kill some of the clanners, take some of their equipment, and then otherwise field it against them, but it took a lot more time than the game's perspective, at least.
The return of endosteel to the Inner Sphere happened slowly and was a turning point in the lore. In the year 3028, a massive data library called the Helm Memory Core was discovered. This ancient database contained the blueprints for many lost technologies, including the manufacturing process for advanced metals. Shortly after this discovery, during a period of cooperation known as Operation Rosebud, Comstar provided the Draconis Combine with older Star League mechs that used endosteel. By studying these examples and using the data from the memory core, the Draconis Combine managed to restart endosteel production in 3035. Other successor states, like the Federated Suns and the Lyran Alliance, soon followed. This technological rebirth allowed the Inner Sphere to begin upgrading their aging arsenals just in time to face the invading clan forces.
Which I kind of wonder if Comstar knew that, and they wanted to basically be like, we at least want to give you a bit of a fighting chance. And then the memory help, the core memory helm showed up. They couldn't quite get it back under control, and then, well, the Inner Sphere had a chance against the clans now, at least to some extent.
From a practical standpoint, in the life of Mechwarrior, endosteel is a luxury that comes with a high price tag and maintenance difficulties. Because there are so few orbital factories capable of producing it, the cost of an endosteel chassis is much higher than a standard one. Furthermore, it is not a component that can be easily swapped out in the field. If a mech's arm is blown off, a technician can bolt on a new one, but if the internal skeleton is damaged, it requires a complete teardown of the machine. Converting a standard mech to use ENDO steel is a massive project that usually has to be done at a dedicated factory rather than a forward operating base. This makes mechs with ENDO steel more expensive to repair and harder to keep in the fight during long campaigns. In the modern era of the Mechwarrior timeline, ENDO steel remains a cornerstone of high-end unit design. It represents the pinnacle of human engineering, blending the physics of space travel and the requirements of ground warfare. While it may not be as flashy as a Gauss rifle or a large pulse laser, the skeleton of a mech is what enables those weapons to be carried into battle in the first place.
I have just as much respect for ENDO steel as I do like the goose rifles and whatnot, because every time I need to have a little bit of weight saving for that really cursed build that I'm putting together, it's always nice to have ENDO steel laying around. Just a little something that I can take a little bit of advantage, but also it's a little bit of a headache to keep it on the field. But when it comes to the cursed builds, it definitely does work out quite nicely.
The history of the material, from its invention in the Terran hegemony to its loss during the Succession Wars and its eventual recovery, mirrors the larger story of the Battletech universe. It is a world where technology is a precious resource, and the materials used to build a machine of war are just as important as the person who pilots it. Without the weight-saving miracles of ENDO steel, many of the most iconic mechs in history would simply be too heavy to walk.
I love the goose rifle on this Orion, by the way. Honk, honk. Well, okay, I guess that was it. This was a great video, by the way. I really like how it was all put together. And just the explanation of the ENDO steel altogether. The alloys that it takes and whatnot. Just to be able to put this together gives me a little bit more perspective and respect for it. Again, I will put the link to the original video in the description or up in the cards. Other than that, this has been Annika. Signing out.